Yeah.
And the people that love Trump, they feel like this is a witch hunt. And they feel like all the things he's getting indicted for are bullshit anyway. Not only does it not work, but it kind of hardens their position that he's being targeted. And that these are like the actions of a banana republic. You take your political rival and you arrest him. And specifically, you charge him with things that you're guilty of. Like the documents, like the classified documents. Biden's guilty of the exact same issue.
That was, of course, podcast giant Joe Rogan speaking on former President Trump's indictment. Trump is now calling on the Supreme Court to intercede in the legal battles he is facing after he pleaded not guilty to federal charges related to special counsel Jack Smith's investigation of the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot and efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Here's U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland speaking on the matter. Let's watch.
So immediately after the January 6th attack on our democracy, the career men and women of the Justice Department engaged in what has become the largest investigation in our history. In November last, I appointed Jack Smith, a special counsel, to take on the ongoing investigation in order to underline the department's commitment to accountability and independence. Mr. Smith and his team of experienced principal career agents and prosecutors have followed the facts and the law wherever they lead. Any questions about this matter will have to be answered by the filings made forward.
Here with me to break this all down is Michael LaRosa, former press secretary for First Lady Jill Biden, and Jeff Charles. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I want to start with your reaction, Michael, just initially to what Merrick Garland said there, but also Joe Rogan's comments on the matter.
Well, sure. Attorney General Garland has always operated above board. Jack Smith, I think, is well known as a Republican in his personal life, but an independent operator when it comes to the judiciary, and that's what we should expect from our justice system. I don't care how many indictments there are. I don't want them polling or taking suggestions from politics on when to indict. They indict when they have a case, and this is when they have a case, and so they brought charges. Joe Rogan, I've been asked a question about him, I think on this show before, when he said the red wave was coming like the elevator doors opening in The Shining. Not exactly a good judge of current events. However, the laundry list of lies that he spewed in that short clip would take too much time to unpack.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Roughly half of Republican voters reportedly would not vote for Donald Trump if he were convicted of a felony, according to a Reuters Ipsos poll that closed on Thursday. So understanding the data there, it sounds like Joe Rogan's allegations or assessment of the situation when it comes to Republican support of Donald Trump and what they make of the indictment, not completely accurate. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to argue that none of this is politically motivated, given the history of the DOJ against Trump, given the history of the FBI. There are elements in the FBI who perpetuated the whole Russia collusion hoax. So that creates the perception that they've been out to get him for a long time. This is no different. Even some of the allegations in this indictment are very, very flimsy. And, there are some cases where they might be able to get him on something. But for the most part, Alvin Bragg's indictment was flimsy. I mean, it's really coming off like this is an attempt to affect the outcome of the 2024 election, regardless of what one thinks about the veracity of the 2020 election, whether you think it's stolen or not. It's pretty clear that there's some shady business going on here. Now, this doesn't mean that Trump is 100% clean. I'm not making that argument. But the notion that there is absolutely no politics at play in this, I mean, it's going to be very hard to convince objective people of that.
Well, I would just have to say that there is also a special counsel looking into the Biden documents case, which is very different than the Trump documents case. But we should note that there is a special counsel investigating that. We should also, for the record, remind people that an investigation into the president's son was opened under the previous administration's Justice Department, and this current administration kept the investigation going and kept the same Trump-appointed U.S. prosecutor to investigate the president's son. And so there is no politics, and this president has proven by his actions that he respects the Justice Department and an independent judiciary, and he has shown that with his actions.
So in some recent Fox News coverage, the Biden White House was referred to as the Biden regime. Federal law enforcement were called the Gestapo and personal police force to Joe Biden. The DOJ was called the Department of Injustice, and the charges against Trump were called political war crimes and assassination. I can understand folks having the perception that the prosecution of Trump is political based on the narratives they're hearing in the media. Is this language, dangerous or accurate when it comes to assessing the indictment of Trump, Jeff?
I mean, it might be dangerous to the government, but I have no problem with people questioning the government's motives. I mean, the government isn't some bastion of morality here. So I think there are valid questions to be asked. I've asked them, and a lot of other people have asked them too. They're like I said earlier, this doesn't seem like this is all on the up and up. Even with the Hunter Biden issue, we have whistleblowers coming out and talking about how elements in the IRS, in the FBI, the Justice Department work to protect the Biden family. So to me, if you're going to say that there's no bias in our government, then I don't really know what to tell you here. I mean, now, again, I'm not saying that this means that Trump is clean, but the notion that people shouldn't be asking these questions and that it's somehow dangerous, I mean, labeling it that way is actually more dangerous than asking these questions. We should be questioning our government.
We've asked the questions quite a bit. In fact, the Hunter Biden investigation has been going on longer than Monica Lewinsky and Whitewater. It's been going on for 5 years, and this is about the kid of a president. We should be honest with ourselves about the fact that if there was anything to the investigation, President Trump's own attorney general and own U.S. attorney would have brought charges if there was anything to it.
Is there anything to be said for a political strategy where either party, sees it pretty clearly that, both president or the former President Trump, current President Biden, have relatively low favorability ratings. They're not garnering a lot of enthusiasm from their party. Seeing that poll from Reuters and Ipsos that came out Thursday, or that was taken Thursday, that over half of Republicans, or roughly half of Republicans, would not vote for Trump if he was convicted of a felony. It's possible he is convicted of a felony before the November election. Either party, given the scandals surrounding their public office, do you think that there's something to be said about their strategy in choosing these candidates as their front runners and favoring them beyond just what their party members want and what their opinion is as party members? There's some role, I think, that party officials and leaders have in boosting up their candidates as the front runner. Jeff, what are your thoughts on all of that?
I think that there's a lot of truth to that. I don't think that either party really cares about what their constituents think. There's a reason why Democrats aren't going to have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. debate Biden. I'm not a fan of either, but they should have that opportunity to see which candidate makes the best case. On the Republican side, yes, you do have a lot of people in the field, but in the past, it's been the same way as well. It seems like party officials are more responsible for choosing these candidates rather than the voters themselves.
Thank you both so much for joining us and breaking this down. We've got more Rising after this.